Madam President,
The junior senator from Nevada.
I ask that the quorum call be dispensed with.
Without objection.
Thank you. Madam President, I rise today as a senator, as a former president of a synagogue, as the only Jewish mother in the United States Senate, as a steadfast supporter of Israel, and as a person who stands firmly against hate and terrorism around the world. Since October 7th, when Hamas launched horrific and unprovoked terrorist attack on the Israeli people, our hearts have been shattered. And over the past week and a half, we've learned that 1,300 innocent Israeli civilians and soldiers have been murdered. Thousands more have been injured, and countless families are grieving for loved ones who've been kidnapped, who at this very moment are being held hostage by Hamas. Young children, women, seniors, some of whom even were Holocaust survivors. This past weekend, I met with these families in Israel as part of a bipartisan Senate delegation, meeting with parents whose children, their babies. That's how they called them, my babies. They have my babies, the mother said. They were ripped away from them by terrorists. Hearing those stories, seeing the fear and the pain in their eyes, feeling their heartbreak, it is something that will stay with me for the rest of my life. And there's one story in particular that I'm never going to forget. A woman whose family member was taken from her by Hamas spoke to us, and in speaking about her pain, she said, "We no longer live in the same world as you. We no longer live in the same world as you." For her and her families, she said, every moment an eternity. Just think about that. Think about what they feel every single day. They're separated from their loved ones, not knowing how they're doing, not knowing if they're being tortured, if they're in pain, if they're even still alive. And with each passing day, these families, they anxiously await for their loved ones, hopefully, to be returned to them. And these stories demonstrate why I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that these families are made whole again. We know that Hamas is currently holding nearly 200 innocent people, including Americans, many of them in dire need of medical attention. So, Madam President, we cannot stay silent. We must speak out until every hostage is released, every single one of them. And that's why last night I introduced a bipartisan resolution condemning Hamas for its brutal, premeditated attacks on Israel and demanding that Hamas immediately release the hostages so they can be reunited with their loved ones. After what I saw, after what I experienced on the ground, I know we need to take decisive, bipartisan, and immediate action to help Israel. Let us take action to free the hostages, pass supplemental funding, aid to our ally in its greatest time of need, and provide Israel with all the support it needs to defend itself from acts of terrorism. And Madam President, at the same time, we need to make sure that Palestinian civilians receive humanitarian aid and that it does not ever end up in the hands of Hamas terrorists. Israelis and Palestinians alike have been victims of Hamas's terror. We have seen how Hamas uses Palestinian civilians as human shields to just led us to the death of countless innocent residents in Gaza. And so we'll continue to support Israel's efforts to eliminate Hamas once and for all and limit civilian casualties. And as we do this, let's use the full voice of the Senate, both sides of the aisle, to send a clear and decisive message to Hamas. Let us all tell those cowards who kidnap children, who kidnap seniors, that the United States will not stand by and let these crimes occur. We will not rest until the hostages are freed, until justice is delivered. So, Madam President, I urge all of my colleagues to support my resolution and send a clear and united message to the world. Thank you.